And then this will be uh, put on the blackboard for everyone, so you guys can watch it as well. Maybe in this way, maybe you guys could just watch more than actually doing it, or you can do it together. But let me just put on a little memo here. So I'm going to put this on behind just to say this is CS200, section 4. Today's a Thursday. It's a week number 7. There's a sign-in sheet going around. The topic for today is rock, paper, scissors. Okay. So, but maybe before, we should always pause and ask any questions, about the class or about, school and stuff like that. Anybody have any questions, comments? I guess nobody won the 1.7 billion lotto last night or something. No. Oh. Yeah.
Did somebody actually win?
Yeah, California. Yeah. I was gonna play, but I kind of forgot about it. I don't know if it's really true, but I heard that most people who win become homeless in 10 years. Oh, something like that. You should probably check it out. I don't know if it's true. Mainly because, they splurge, just they're shocked by that experience and winning, and they just start like spending, right? Well, right off the bat, you lose 50, but still, hey, 50% of 1 billion is still huge, right? So you start just like going crazy. And then not only you, but also your family, neighbors, and, 3 cousins removed, whatever. They all find you and they just like, and so you just like, what do you got at the end of the day? Nothing. Right. But, uh,
So what would you do if you win then? Would you stay anonymous?
um, I would try to stay anonymous as much as possible. Yeah. Because, not to be hounded by other people, but also I need to like contain myself, right? Um, but I don't know. But that's what I would do. But anyway, if you guys win, just, don't say nothing, just disappear. And you can attend class on Zoom. Okay. Anyway, so we're gonna be just doing rock paper scissors, and I want to put this in perspective. And so if we look at week 8, the assignment that are related to today that we were working on is going to be round 2. Okay, so this week we're going to do the RPS first iteration of just playing once, and that's it. But I want us to develop it better in many ways to be able to play best out of whatever, 3 or 7 or whatever, but to make it so that it's now becoming a little bit more realistic program, right? Maybe data validation, maybe appropriate messages, and guiding the user to, play the game, fairly or whatever. And so that, the application is when you finish this week's assignment, don't just throw in the garbage can or delete. Keep it because you're going to improve from it, right? So, but some of you, maybe not necessarily you, but some people are not CS majors, and they don't really care about, hey, I'm just taking this because I'm just taking this class, right? And this enhanced RPS is just like ludicrous. Why would you make me suffer like that? So I'm going to give an option to do something different, and I'll talk more about it. But essentially, to count the vowels on a list of characters or vowels, something like that, right? So, at least I'll give you a choice, right? So, you can choose whichever is more pleasant or less painful or whatever. But that's what we're kind of heading in terms of programming. So if we go back to week 7, here is the instruction for how to do the RPS program. So if you click it and open, everybody should know how to do this. Nothing new from my end. But basically, you're going to just ask. Oof. Just two things from the user, the name and the selection, right? So that's all you need. And then just play the game, right? Or process. So once you have the user selection of RPS, then the computer needs to generate its random selection and then compare them and decide who wins, right? And then afterwards, just spit out the result, right? So username, user choice, program choice, and then who won the game. Okay, just want to be just upfront and say, so and so you won or you lost because you chose this, but I chose this, whatever. And so it's pretty straightforward, right? So what I want to do is to spend some time on how would I do it, but maybe how we could do it, from the beginning to the end, right? Because I usually don't get a chance to go through the entire program, maybe because I want to save the time, or maybe because I just don't want to show you. I don't know, right? I'll show you this is how it's done, but I'm not gonna like do it for you. Whatever, right? But I think today's program is short enough, but it is manageable. A little bit longer than really simple ones. So I wanted to take time today, just do that today, right? But in doing so, I want to illustrate some of the odds and ends of what you may be thinking about, or maybe even more poignantly, what I want you to think about when you do these things, right? So I'll try to include some of those things as I'm going through. Okay, so that's basically what I want to do, right? So the first question is, how do I start? Right? You have a choice and a decision to make. So you could and what I mean by that is, what platform am I going to use? Are you going to use an online, or are you going to use a installed program, right? So on the online program, you have a couple of flavors, but I think I showed you here's a program is one, or you can choose the online GDB that has something like this, configurations, and you can pick the Python over here. So you got a few choices online, right? And between the two, it's a matter of your preference, right? They're sort of the similar and stuff. Now, in terms of the installed program, I think I showed to you a Thorny. So here's a Thorny right here. And as you can see, Thorny is fairly quick and efficient, lightweight, and ready to go. It looks like that. But if you say, that's for kids, I'm growing up and I'm a semi-pro right here. What you talking about? So then that's fine. Then you can do something like PyCharm or Spider or what other semi decent IDE, right? So this one looks kind of like this, but as you saw, this one is a little bit slower on the same computer, right? So whatever you like, right? So you pick and choose, but you need to pick one, and eventually, if you are a CS manager, you are going to gravitate toward one or the other. There's some other ones like a Visual Studio or something like that you can use as well, right? So you decide what works for you, right? As long as you're able to do what you need to do efficiently, that's the name of the game. But right now you're just kind of experimenting. So try different things and see what is okay. All right. So that was the first question. So what am I gonna do? Well, I'm gonna just use change pace. I'm gonna use PyCharm. Okay. Why PyCharm? I don't know. I just chose one. Okay. So I'm going to, as you can see. Oh, by the way, this is a program from the uh, previous week about the color, right? So here, if I run this program, it actually works. But if it didn't work for you, then what is it that you have to do to make it work? Uh, is usually this colorama is not really imported properly. Maybe because it is not importable, or maybe it's not importable the way it is, written here. So if you're using a PyCharm, then you go to, and the ID is the same, pretty much. Whatever platform you go to, the files, go to the settings, and then here you can see, this is my project name at the moment here, but you can look through here. Oh, here's a colorama, right? So you can click that, and then you can click OK here. Um, but mine's already installed, so it should be all okay. But let me see if I can try to force it to install. So if I say click on the plus sign, colorama or something like that. So you got this one, right? So if you click on this guy, on the bottom it says install package, right? So you click on that, um, and I think it's going to try to install, but it says, oh yeah, it says package installed successfully. I didn't see it installed. It probably it recognized that it's already installed, and so it just installed successfully. I don't know about now. I think it already did it before. If you're using another platform like Thorny, then you can go here to the tools, manage packages, and then look for Colorama or something like that. And if you don't see it, then just search for it, and then it says it's already installed, right? If it wasn't installed, it'll say install here or something, right? So then you click on it. But basically, you just gotta find whatever it is complaining about, and even though this command should import it for you, uh, your IDE may have its own way of importing it, right? So, or your command will work. So it's a different, logic and whatever they want to do. But anyway, so that's what's going on. So go back to the PyCharm here. So I'm gonna kind of delete all this, okay, and then I'm just gonna start, okay. So I selected my environment, and I'm ready to just code. Well, how do I start? Well, maybe defining the project, right? So maybe I'll use three block, comments, and I'll say something about, this is a rock paper scissors program. Welcome. I mean, you say a little bit, whatever, and then, your name. This is a John Doe, and then I say IPO here, so you can say, input. I want to get the name, and maybe user input. You can say it a little bit nicely than what I'm doing, but basically, process, uh, computer generate random choice, and then compare with user and decide, right? And then output, maybe I will just spit out the name, user choice, and computer choice, and who won, right? Something like that. So get that stuff out of the way, and as inconvenient as this may be, this will help you to get in the pattern of writing a sound program in the future. Your program director or a IT director will not look at your code until you have this done. In fact, even before you write a single line of code, the way it happens is you need to submit and get approved for your programming and the scope and all of this stuff. And the first program that you submit is the documentation. Okay, and only then, I mean, you can write your program at home and nobody's watching or whatever. But at work, they'll be watching you. Said, don't waste my time here doing some other stuff that I did not tell you to do. And you say, well, forget you and just walk out, right? Start your own company. But whatever. Okay. So now you having done this, we're gonna play the IPO game. So the reason why I did this is because I want to follow that pattern, right? So here's the pattern. Here's the input, right? Put a one-line comment. So I'm gonna say, well, I need to get the name. Well, before I get the name, you have to say something, right, to the guy. So notice this right here. This is one of the things I like about the PyCharm. As I start to write, it suggests the command for me. I don't have to memorize anything. As I get older, this is really useful. And it really cuts down on typing error, right? So all I have to do is just tab, bam, right there. It even puts a parenthesis on it. Wow, right? Just amazing. And then once I put the quotation mark, it even puts the both. Oh, this is like my day right here, right? This is luxury, right? So I say, hi, what's your first name, right? Kind of like that. And then when I type that, make sure you put a space. For ADD people like me, when I run this program, I don't want my cursor to be butted against the name question mark. I want some space, right? Not, so give some space. But notice here, okay, now I'm going to run this program. Do you think it's going to run? I mean, normally I would not run this, but I want to show you something. Well, let's find out, right? And you click on this little green arrow, bam. Hi, what is your first name? Look at where the apostrophe is. Right? So you can include an apostrophe inside of the quotation mark. If and only if the outside quotation marks are different. If I chose, bam, ka-ching, right? Is that going to work? Why not? I run it, error, right? Why is there error? Because this guy here matches with this guy, right? It ended the string of printing. And now this part, Python compiler is saying, I don't know what you're doing. Okay. So that is a really convenient way to include an apostrophe inside of your quotation mark. So use different ones like that. Okay. So there's a lot of other ways to do it, but this is just one way. Okay. And then now once I asked, what the name is, I need to get it, right? So I'm going to say user name is equal to input. Oh, look at that. Pow. Look at that. Just amazing right here. See? I get the user input. Okay. It's all good. And then I get the name. So I need the selection, right? So maybe what I want to say is, give a little message here and say, this is rock, paper, scissors program. Make your selection. Okay. Or type your selection. Okay. Or whatever you want to say. And then space. Okay. So now I'm going to get that selection from the user. So I'm going to say user choice is equal to input whatever the person is putting in, right? Now you can condense these two things in one line and get all fancy and stuff like that. But I'm just going to leave it like this for now. And what is this guy complaining about? Nothing yet. Okay, so I'm going to have to see. User, maybe I'll put in a capital C right here. Yeah. So that little slightly highlighted, underlined. So when you're using multiple words together concatenated, um, use the capital on the second and remaining your words. Okay, but lowercase the beginning. I mean, if you don't do it that way, it's not a problem. But that's just a moral convention, right? Right, tradition. So anyway, at least the line is gone. So I got the name, I got the selection. Now what do I need to do? I need to decide what I'm gonna do as a computer, right? So I need to use some random selection, and I gotta select something, but I don't know how to do it. Okay, so what do? Well, then go on to your famous, Uncle Google and ask, right? So I'm going to do a random selection, some choice, right? And then I like this W3. What is it? It's W3 score. I'm going to go to that one. So I'm going to go here, right? And so this will tell you, if you forget, a structural requirement. It says, oh, I need to import a random. Oh, okay, that's all good, right? I remember that. And then, well, maybe not this way. Here we go. I need a random. And then I want a list of things that I want to pick from, right? I'm going to have a rock, paper, scissors, right? So I need to create a list. And then I'm going to use a function called random choice. So what I would do is I'll just copy this guy here and then onto my section right here. So maybe here I'll put a processing, right, or something like that. And then this import random, I should put really, at the very top. And why is that? No good reason, but it's, that's where most people decide whatever I'm going to need to run this program, like the imports and constants, and they all kind of go to the top. So that's the main reason. And then so I need to create a list, right? So my list is generic name, so I'm going to change it to my, a rock paper scissors uh, choice or list, yeah, list like that. Okay, and then I need to provide my choices: rock, paper, and scissors, right? Now you could get, be very comprehensive and say, what about the capital and stuff like that? Well, try to get the main thing working and then come back and edit it, right? So that would be my choice. And so I do that, and then I don't really need to print anything now. So I'm going to get rid of the print portion, but I need to decide, making the selection, and the name of my selection is, or the list is RPS list. So I'm going to update this name to RPS list. And notice this right here. It picks the name for me, right? So all I have to do is just press the tab, bam. And the reason why I like it is because when you do it that way, not only do you eliminate the spelling error, but also notice, as this is selected, all the other places where the name appears are also highlighted so that you have a visual inspection of where they are, right? If it is misspelled, then it won't highlight. And so that you kind of know, like, where it's used elsewhere. But anyway, after I do the random selection from here, I need to assign it to something. So I go to the beginning and say, computer choice is equal to that, right? So now the computer made a decision from the random selection. Okay, now I need to compare. I got the user selection or user choice, and I got the computer choice. I need to now compare them and decide who won, right? So how am I going to do that? Well, I need to compare them. So the comparison is if statement, right? So if, right, user choice, and look at that, gives me the choice of my options here, right? So I'm going to choose a user choice, bam. If the user choice is equal to the computer choice, right? And then it brings it up really nice and easy, right? If that is the case, now why didn't I do the other way? Why didn't I say if computer? Well, you can do it either way. It doesn't really matter, right? All I'm interested is if they're the same. So a colon and then enter. Now I'm going to list all the things that I want to do if they are the equal. I don't know what they actually chose, but I know they're the same, right? Then what's the result of this? It's a draw, right? So I'm going to say print quotation mark. It's a draw. Okay. But I need to tell them why it is a draw, right? So I'm going to have to say, maybe draw because you chose, and then comma or the quotation, and then I need to say what the user chose, right? But what did the user choose? Well, I don't know, but I know the variable, right? User choice. So I'll spit it back out, right? And I'll say computer chose. I don't know what computer chose, but I know the variable for computer choice, right? So I'll say computer choice. Bam. Right? So I'll take care of the whole thing in one line. It says it's a draw because you chose whatever you chose. Computer chose whatever the computer chose, right? Okay, and then I'm done. If this is the case, I am finito, right? So here you can either say exit, right? Or I'm not going to do it right now because, I'm not really worried about proficiency or whatever. So now, what if this is not true? What if they did not pick the same thing, whatever they may be? Then I need to now really compare them, right? So what's the syntax of comparing, uh, further, the if statement is not true? Else if, right? So else if, now I need to do some basic grueling detailed comparisons. So I'm going to say else if user choice, oops, not username, is equal to rock. Okay. And why did I do rock? Well, I just got to start somewhere, right? So if the user choice is rock and computer choice is rock, no, rock and rock, I already took care of it, right? Because they're the same. So I don't need to compare rock and rock. I need to compare rock and something else, right? So you can say whatever you want, P or something, right? And equal sign is not just one, but two, right? So if that is the case, if they're not the same, and it turns out that user chose rock and computer chose P, then what am I going to do? Now I know, right? I say print. Who wins? Rock and paper. Paper wins, right? So computer won because you chose space. I need to say what the user chose, right? So I'm just going to say user choice. Computer chose. And I need to say what the computer chose. Yeah, that's it, right? Just like the first line or the previous line. Everybody okay with that? Yeah. So there's a pattern going on here, about to. Now, what if they're not the same? What if they're not rock and paper, right? I got to compare all variations, the combinations and permutations and all that good stuff, right? So I'm just going to copy and paste. Copy that. Bam. So I'm going to keep the user choice as rock, but I'm going to change the computer choice from P to the S for scissor, right? So now who wins here? The user wins, right? So not computer won, but you won because you chose. The remaining should be the same because I'm just spitting out whatever the guy chose, right? So that's all I have to change. Okay. And so now moving on to the next one, I'm going to paste it again. Well, I chose the user rock rock, um, and there's only two possible choices the computer choice could have, P or S, because I don't need to change, check if it's R because they would have been the same. So now what I have to do is to change the user choice. I'm going to move on to P. Okay? So if the user choice is P, I don't need to check if the computer choice is P because that would have been the same. I'm going to do the rock. Okay. So in this case, paper and rock, who wins? Paper wins, right? So I'm going to say you won. Okay. Seems like I got some issue going on back there. Question?
Yeah, just little fast.
Oh, a little fast?
Yeah.
Slow down, yeah. Oof. I've been trying to find this software that you can highlight. Like when you watch some video online or like demonstration online, some people when they present, they can like zoom in, right? I don't know how do they do that. Like I can't make this bigger, is what I'm saying, or like zoom into like one line or some area. I know it's out there somewhere, but nobody seems to know. And extra credit. Just kidding. Later, not now, not now. We should take care of this one. But anyway, I really love to do find it and um, yeah. So anyway, what's that?
So you get a print screen and zoom in.
Yeah, so that's a little ghetto.
Alt Shift 0.
Probably my computer will blow up.
Oh, no,
Alt Shift what?
0.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah,
Well, on my laptop, just like kind of like you know what I'm talking about. Like,
that's a Mac. It is?
you know what I'm talking about? Just kind of like
No.
No, not mine. Sorry. Well, maybe we could do it afterwards. Yeah, yeah. Like the
like you're just like with my two fingers, just like going up. Like
Yeah.
if you were to touch the screen and like control
right, yeah. Just like my phone, right? Like yeah, yeah. I don't know. Maybe this is a school issued computer, so maybe they blocked it. I don't know, but whatever. Okay, so here we go. Okay, maybe just getting back on here. Are we all good or
so far.
so far? Okay, cool. Parentheses. Yeah, you don't know how much time and the nights have been spent from my experience because if I missed a comma or a parentheses, my eyes are like shot. But anyway, so okay, so we're done with the rock. We want to P, right? So just copying and pasting. That's the name of the game here. Can you copy and paste, right? So like bam. So I'm P and P here, rock, and now I'm gonna change that to scissor. Okay. Who wins between paper and scissor? Scissor wins, right? So the computer wins. So I'm just gonna change that to computer one because you chose that and whatever. Technically speaking, you don't have to use the user choice and computer choice here because you already know what the user chose if this happens, right? So you could say, computer one because you chose P, and this only gets executed if that is true, right? So, but I'm kind of keeping it so that I don't have to like mess up typing and stuff. Okay, and then there's a definite pattern that's going on. So I did the two rocks for the user, two entries for the P. And I need to do one more, two more. Okay. Now scissor for the user. And then I'll keep the computer choice as a rock. Who wins here? Rock wins, right? So the computer won. And then my last comparison would be user picking skizzer and computer picking P. Okay. And here, who wins? Scissor wins, right? So you win. Okay. Now let me pause here and say, was my last entry elif? Is that necessary? Well, I'm comparing if they're the same. I'll compare all the possibilities, and if these are not true, then it must be the true, right? So your last statement could just simply be else and say you won, because the only possible option left is this. Okay. So, and I say that to say that program could be written in many different ways, right? But I'm going to just keep it this way, just so that you can see the whole pattern, right? What we're also not doing, by the way, is the data validation. Just because I asked the user to make a selection of the RPS, I have no guarantee that he or she will pick one of those, right? The user could say, why? Right? Or a dollar sign or something, right? So, but if it's a commercial application, then we need to account for all of that, right? So, but we're not there yet. So we're just making it very simple and straightforward. And you may also want to say something when it actually finishes. Thank you for playing. Come back again. I know where you live. Whatever, right? So there is some closure, right? So maybe what I'll do is say, just print. Thank you for playing. I have no friends. Okay. Come back again, please. All right. We'll say something so that we know the program ended, right? So before you click on the run, you want to kind of go over, to see if things look okay. And on the one hand, looks is important, because if it doesn't look correctly, then there's an issue. Like what? If you see any red squiggly lines, if you see anything unusual, then take a look at it, right? But also, the second thing that you want to kind of look over is, does my logic look okay, right? Am I doing it the way I thought I was doing? So here's input. I'm getting that stuff. Okay, that looks okay. I'm not getting an integer, so I don't need to, convert to the integer. My list is there. They all, I got everything on there. I'm comparing this here, and the syntax looks okay. I got all my variations, and I know I'm finished. That looks kind of okay for now, right? So let's give it a shot now. So I'm going to do a run, and then maybe bring this up a little bit here. Hi, what's your name? Well, who wants to know, right? So it's JR, right? I don't know why I always put JR, but I put JR. And then press enter. This is rock, paper, scissors. Type your selection. Maybe I should have said what the selection choices are, right? So maybe that's something that you can go back and edit, right? So I'm just going to pick a rock. Why? Because it's the first one. I don't know. And then I'm going to click enter. Bam. Hey, you won. Because you chose R. Hey, I know I chose R. It says computer chose S. Okay, well that makes sense, right? So thank you for playing this. So now it kind of flowed through things okay. Maybe I should have, injected some errors and stuff like that, but I just wanted to kind of move along, steady, and so that you can kind of see not too ugly of a demonstration. But I don't know if this is really true from the user point of view. Maybe this is fixed. I don't know, right? So I'm going to play it again, and this time I'm going to pick a different one, maybe P, right? And then enter. So it's a draw because we both. Okay, well maybe it's not fixed then, right? So now I'm getting a little more audacious, right? I'm going to say run again. What's your name? Why, right? What this RP? Type your selection. No. Thank you for playing. Okay. Now, this is kind of curious, right? Because I put an invalid, unexpected input, no, right? But it didn't crash. That's a good thing. But why did it not crash?
Completely skipped the else if
Right. Because it compared all these and it did not match, right? And then it just ended. And that's the problem of a logical error. It may run without an error, but it doesn't give you what you're looking for. And so a lot of times, inexperienced and don't want to be experienced programmers say it runs, but it's not working. That's what we call the logical error, right? And those are difficult to solve because they don't look, the error doesn't like shout at you. It's like it's working, but where did I go wrong, right? So this kind of problem can be avoided if you checked the data validation input from the beginning. So let me run again to force that to happen. So what's your name? I'm just going to say Tom. Pick your selection. I'm going to put 1 or maybe 10. Enter. Same thing, right? So it's a problem. Okay, this is a real problem, not a easy to solve problem because I was hoping that it would crash, but it took the input 10 as a character, right? It didn't try to convert, do any arithmetic operations, but if it did, it'll fail, right? Then if the program fails, in some sense, that's good because now you know what the problem is, right? The logical error is the worst because it is working, but you just like why is it in? That's where you spend. Oh, that's where you call your friend and say, "Hey, how do you do that program?" And then you say, "Well, let's meet up at some Panera Bread, and I'm kind of hungry." So, oh, great. You're get on the Discord and get your call your friends for help, right? So does this kind of make sense? Is like what I'm doing okay? Yeah. Now, so let me go back and maybe try to enhance a little bit, right? And for this exercise, this program, you don't have to do this, but if you wanted to, okay, if you wanted to do this, then you can do it because you need to do it for next week. But what if you say, I want the selections to be capital in the lower, right? Reasonable pattern. And I want the computer to choose either, should we have the computer choose the capital and the lower as well? Maybe, maybe not. It's up to you, okay? What implication would it have? Probably not. But anyway, but if you want to be consistent and you want to include it in there because you're an awesome programmer, then you can do this. Just do it right here, and do a quotation and put a capital R, right? And then in front of the okay, it didn't get that. That's fine. And then maybe in front of the P, capital P, like that. And then in front of the S, you can do the capital S, and then like that, and then a comma. So you have all capitals and all lowers. And if the type your selection, you can say, R, R, P, P, S, S, or whatever, right? So if you give them a choice, and you should probably elaborate a little bit more than what I do. I'm doing it to save some space and whatever. So if you wanted to do capital and lower, then you have to do a little bit more work, right? So let's just do the first one. If they are the same, oh, this could be a problem. But let's kind of move on. So what if the user picks the capital R, right? and the computer picks lower R. Are they the same? They should be, right? Because they're both rocks, right? So we'll talk about that problem next week. But either way, let's say they pick one of the same kind. Then what you do here is, I'll just use this one as an example. What if the user choice is rock? Then you have to either say either capital R or the lower R, right? So how do you do that? You say parentheses, user choice is equal to small r, or user choice is equal to capital R, right? Like that. See what I'm doing? You put that or inside of a parentheses. Okay. And you may want to do the same for the computer choice, right? Either computer choice is small p, or computer choice is equal to the capital P, right? Like that. So you see? So in the restaurant menu, where we asked cash or credit, was just or logical operator. Here, the basic operator is and. But if you want to include, choices of one or the other for a selection, then you need to do that or operation inside of the parentheses. So looking at the overall, it needs to be true when this and that happens at the same time. Okay? But inside of each condition, you have a subcondition of one or the other. Okay? So technically speaking, the user choice could be capital R, and the computer choice could be lower p, right? So they don't have to match in terms of capitalization, is what I'm trying to say. But this is something that you want to do, for next week. But you can get started this week if you want. Does that sort of make sense? Yeah. So yeah. So I kind of like the this PyCharm because it's kind of like user friendly and elderly friendly. But you may like some other stuff, whatever, idle, Python, the Thorny, or some other programs, whatever works best for you, that'll help you best is what's important. Okay, so you could do that. All right. So let's see if we, any other questions? Any questions about this? Okay, are we all good? All right. So let's kind of play with this a little bit more then. So this is pretty much what you turn in, right? And just kind of change some variables, or put your name on here and make it more user friendly and stuff like that. But let's play with the last one that I talked to you about. It could be else, right? So I'm going to knock off this guy here and say else, right? Else, I don't need to check anything because it has to be. Right? Yeah. So let's see if this one actually works okay. Here's Mary, small r, U1 or whatever. So I was hoping that this would pick a S. So let me run it again. Joan S. Computer 1 because you chose S, computer chose or whatever. So, but I guess you could kind of see that syntactically it's working okay, right? So use the else to pick up whatever's remaining, right? Now, if I run this program this way, one more time. So say, Tom, if I put my input as a something different, what if I put it as X? What's going to happen? The else is going to catch it, right? You won because you chose X. Why? Because this else statement is a catch bucket if all the other comparisons didn't work, which is not true, right? So you want to be careful about using this else. If we had elif, then this would not have happened. Okay, and when it does happen, this guy really doesn't have any friends. Well, ladies and gentlemen, and friends of all ages, the good things have come to an end for today. Oh, maybe I should speak here. Oh, I hope this is recording okay in terms of my voice.
It should be.
Should be?
Also for the audio,
Yeah.
to zoom in,
Uh-huh.
top left, the view tab,
Okay.
and then you go to appearance at the very top,
Appearance right here. Okay.
and then you would change. Wow, you don't have it. What? It's literally right there for me.
Oh, this is a underwhelming. Let's look down on this guy. Well, so let me end this. So, have any last minute questions? All good. Hope it's not raining. Stay dry. Good seeing you, everybody. Where's the sign-in sheet? It's all good. Okay, cool. So have a good rest of the day and weekend. We shall meet up again on Tuesday, ready to work on this rocking RPCP program. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, this is gonna be.